Powerful insights often occur when you least expect them. On Transformative Leadership Conversations, they're at the heart of every episode. Hi, I'm your host, Winnie da Silva. In this season, I'm sharing short, focused leadership insights, practical ideas, myths worth challenging, and tools you can immediately apply in your work. Together, we'll explore what it really takes to lead effectively today, from understanding your role and the value you create to sharpening the way you think, communicate, and solve problems as a leader. In each episode, you'll walk away with the inspiration, strategies, and practical tools to strengthen your leadership, build effective teams, and lead thriving organizations. So let me start with this. The problem you see may not be the real problem that needs solving. I'll illustrate this idea to start with a quick client story. I worked with an executive who recently was promoted and moved into a new role with a new team. And he was convinced that his biggest challenge was delegation. He told me, "I'm overwhelmed. I'm working night and weekends, and my team relies on me for everything. I know I need to delegate more." Essentially, he was asking me to help him develop stronger delegation skills and habits. But he was a pretty senior guy. He knew how to delegate. So as I asked him more questions about what was keeping him from delegating, and a few barriers started to emerge. Every time he delegated something, he would redo the work before it went out. He wanted to put his fingerprints on it. But the bigger problem, he didn't fully trust his team. But he also hadn't put in the time to get to know and develop his new team. Instead of investing that time that would yield long-term results, he went into quick fix mode and just did the work himself. Another factor, he wanted to impress his new boss, and he thought the best and fastest way to do that would be to do the work himself. It wasn't. This was detrimental to him as a leader, to his team, and to the work itself. Now, this happens all the time with, frankly, all of us. We lock in on what we think is the immediate problem, but what we don't take the time to truly understand is the problem before we rush to a solution. Why? Well, because as leaders, you're under increasing pressure with less time and extremely high demands. These factors can all prohibit us from slowing down just for a bit to get to the root causes of the biggest and most complex problems we're trying to solve. Now, of course, we can swing in the whole other direction and be paralyzed thinking if we just went a little bit deeper and had a little bit more time, we'd find the perfect solution. Now, we don't want to do that either. Sometimes the best solution takes a bit longer to uncover. And the only way to get to that best solution is to truly understand the actual problem. Have you ever tried to solve a problem only to see it reappear in a different form? Have you ever felt like you're rushing to fix a problem, but you somehow know that there's something more that needs to be addressed? So what's really going on here? The myth is that if you fix the visible problem, you've solved the issue. But in leadership, the visible problem is often just the symptom. The real driver is usually something underneath it. I often think about this as the difference between surface issues and root causes. The surface issue is the behavior or event you can see. Missed deadlines, lack of accountability, slow decisions, poor communication, right? The root cause is the underlying dynamic that's creating that behavior. So when leaders slow down long enough to look deeper, the real issue often turns out to be something maybe like unclear expectations, misaligned incentives, conversations that are being avoided, cultural norms that aren't working, or leadership blind spots. Solving symptoms can create temporary relief, but addressing root causes creates sustainable change. This is not about overcomplicating problems, but it's about identifying and solving the real problem. Let me share a quick example. So I worked on a team development engagement with a very large team within a highly complex matrix organization. A primary problem they complained about was this: our process for making decisions as a team is too slow. Okay, that seems reasonable, right? But after doing some work with this team, including conducting a team assessment, we realized that the leaders 2 levels above them, They were sending mixed messages. Therefore, this team was not getting clear mandates from above. This was the core problem that needed to be addressed. And once it was, decision-making was much more clear and timely. So why does this myth feel so enticing? Speed feels productive, and uncovering root causes honestly feels slow. And most businesses live for short-term results. Deeper problems can often point to issues with other people, making these problems more challenging to address. Other reasons we want problems to be easily to be solved? Well, there's an emotional toll to solving complex problems. Honestly, it's easier to adjust a process than to take the time to examine the root cause, which might even include our own behavior. So, let's talk about a few ways to check to see if there's a deeper problem we need to understand, and if there is, how we can go deeper in uncovering the real problem. First is this: pause. Think. It's as simple as that, right? See what comes to mind, but take some time to pause and think. Second, before jumping into a solution, ask yourself a few questions like this. What else could be driving this? Where else does this pattern show up? How might I be contributing to this problem? And what incentives or behaviors are reinforcing it? Okay, third, collect some data. Ask a colleague who's seen this problem before. Ask for the perspectives of a few people on your team. Find a few smart people you trust and use them as a sounding board. Talk to someone like me, right? You might also do some research and study on the problem. Books, articles, podcasts, other resources, they might be helpful as well. Fourth, once again, pause. Think about the data you've collected and the people that you've talked to, and think about what you've learned and make a decision. Better yet, pilot or try something out. Learn some more, iterate, and keep going. Remember, getting to the root cause of a problem often prevents future problems. So, solving the right problem changes everything. Now, while not every single problem deserves a complete uncovering, training your leadership habits to pause, think, ask good questions, gather data, and find ways to experiment and iterate, this is where you will truly uncover sustainable solutions to seemingly intractable problems. Thank you for listening to this episode of Transformative Leadership Conversations. If you're ready to take your leadership to the next level or empower your teams for success, I'm here to help. Reach out to me directly at winnie@winifred.org or visit me at www.winniedasilva.com to learn more about my work coaching executives, developing critical leadership skills, and helping organizations build effective teams. You can also find me on Substack, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And remember, you're always welcome to take a seat at the table, where every conversation has the potential for transformative change.